So let's take a break from politics now and look at the outcomes of politics and political decisions. And as we try, Association of Resident Doctors will down tools on the 10th of August if its demands are not met. That's according to the decisions that it's been speaking to in the last couple of days. So let's look at what the issues are. And joining us now is Dr. Kwashak Kevin, the second Vice President, Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors. He joins us virtually on the program. And we also have, we'll get to that later. Let's talk with Dr. Kevin. Dr. Kevin, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Bukola. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, brilliant. We can hear you loud and clear. So let's get right into it. It appears as if the issues will not go away as far as the welfare of doctors is concerned. We could go right down memory lane and recall warning strikes and strikes by the Association of Resident Doctors. And some Nigerians would ask, why?
Thank you, Bukola. Yeah, so you see, I must say this, that every country, the development of every country is being measured by the indices of its health. Here we are in Nigeria where a lot of issues have been happening, bordering around our welfare, the infrastructure, and all of that. And the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors have been in the public space, if you remember, over so many issues. In fact, since when we came on board, before we even came on board, a lot of our predecessors have been calling on government to do a number of things. Unfortunately, unfortunately, a lot of things have still remained the way they are, right from that time till now. And what are these issues so far, Kola? Let me make it clear even before I go into the issues. We are not in any way wanting to go on this track, but it has become necessary for us after reviewing these issues at the July NEC in Kobe State. We have a lot of issues that have remained largely unaddressed. One of the major issues that we've been talking about is the issue of house officers. For instance, if you know, house officers are junior colleagues. Those are the people that just graduated and they just started their training, their practice. And these are a group of people that are very vulnerable. That first 1 year shaped them in terms of their decision whether they're going to remain in this country or they are going to leave this country. It also shaped their decision whether they are going to remain in medical practice or they want to venture into something else. These are people who, to even pay them their salary has become a big problem. You will not believe it, that house officers' salary usually comes from 15th, 20th of the following month. As I speak to you now, most of the salaries for, most workers, like for us, for instance now, for some of us, we're expecting salary any moment from 25th of the month. House officers will get their salary 2 to 3 weeks after everybody has been paid. And that's not even the issue. Even beyond that, you will not believe that some house officers have been owed arrears for over 7 months in this country. How can you explain that a junior doctor who is just working, who has just started this profession, has not been paid salary for 7 to 8 months? We've written, we've talked, we've engaged the people who are actually involved in this, and nothing has been done about it. So what we are asking is that they must be paid as at when due, and all their arrears must be paid. Another issue that I must tell you about is one of the recurrent problems in Lux, Lagos University Teaching Hospital, where the chief medical director and the top management, they decided that doctors will not get call food. And doctors have been intimidated. Our colleagues have been intimidated, and some of them have been refused to even appear for the next exams, just because they protested that call food is not a privilege, it's a right. Just let me give you an instance. Back in the time, when you're on call, every doctor, when you're on call, you are expected to remain within the vicinity of the hospital, so that once there is an emergency, you should be able to go there and attend to the emergency immediately. And this chief executive decided that he will not be giving you call food. So whenever you're on call, you need to leave the hospital and go so many kilometers away just to go and look for food. And we say, no, this is totally unacceptable. These are our senior colleagues who have enjoyed these privileges in the past. So why is it difficult for them now to actually accept giving our colleagues call food? And just because of that, the whole issue has degenerated to the point where our colleagues who are supposed to go for exam have been denied that opportunity to appear for exams. And we said, no, this will not actually happen. The NEC reviewed this issue extensively in Gombe and said, we cannot longer continue this way. Something needs to be done. And, if you look at, I'm sure, Channels is one of the TV stations that have been very up to date. If you have been following up events, you would also agree with me. There are a lot of our colleagues that have been assaulted at their workplaces. I'm sure you would have seen. And let me give you a simple statistics. In the last 11 months or thereabout, about 30 doctors have been assaulted in Nigeria. That gives you an average of like 3 doctors in a month, in a row. We're not talking about it happens now, maybe after 1 year, it happens after 6 months, in a row.
So, doctor, just a moment.
What kind of assault are we talking about here?
I'm talking about both physical
by who
and verbal. By patient relatives. Patient relatives. In fact, there are some instances where security personnel assaulted our colleagues. Security assaulted our colleagues. Let me give you a very recent scenario in FMC Yenogua, Bayelsa State, where a doctor was doing all he can to actually help a patient. Unfortunately, for some reasons, the patient relatives took the law into their hands, beat the hell out of that doctor, strip him naked, and bundle him into a car to take him outside the hospital facility. What exactly are we actually interested in this country? To deal with the few doctors who have actually agreed to stay back to help this country? And we have reached out to the federal ministry and then to the government to say, okay, look, can we have a legislation where it will actually prescribe those people who are actually assaulting doctors at workplaces? And then we should also have a standard protocol, for rapid response. That has not been done. And how can we continue working in a very unsafe environment? Imagine myself now going to the workplace and I'll be coming back to my wife and my family battered. How does that sound? Does that even sound to our ears? And these are not difficult things to do. We know how doctors have been living the shores of this country. Like my boss, Mr. President, always say, if you look at the 2014, you have over 20,000 doctors, at the federal level with about 10 in the state. Currently, we don't even have half of that number in Nigeria. Divide that number by the population of over 220 million. How many doctors are we talking about per patient? And then yet, instead for the government to protect us, we are being vulnerable. And let me mention something again, Geoffrey. Shortly, in 2024, the government corrected what is called the professional allowance table for all the health workers in Nigeria. For some certain reasons, these monies were not paid. The National Salary and Wages Income Commission decided not to release that circular, and it took us up until late last year to actually review this issue with government. And we thank the government. I must say this: we're not trying to put everything on them. They did their best and said, no, look, these people are entitled to it. With the intervention of the Vice President, Shetima, the Minister of Health, but the main minister and then the state, all came into it, Minister of Labor, and said, let's review this issue. And they said this thing should be implemented. It started sometimes in February this year, the corrected table. But 18 months of those areas are still hanging. Up until now, nothing has been said about it. We've been following up to see, okay, where are we? What can we get out of this money? Our colleagues have been waiting. How can you owe a health worker for good 18 months? His wages, he had a money for 18 months, and yet we're nowhere to be found. So we are asking, can government actually pay us this money?
So Dr. Kevin, you have outlined non-payment, delayed payment in salaries of house officers, non-payment of the backlog of arrears for medical personnel. But the question really is, then what are the gains of the sector-wide approach policy reform of the federal government in the health sector, in which it quotes the deployment of 32 plus billion healthcare provision fund, the transformation of 3,000 primary healthcare centers. Where are those gains in the health sector if the National Association of Resident Doctors is dissatisfied?
Well, so thank you for that. You see, I must say, if we all insist that this government has not done anything in the health sector, then I would be lying. it's as leaders, I'm also a leader in my own little way, and we are also quite aware of the challenges that confront every leader, including this government. But it's good to say, to acknowledge where they have done well, and I'll give you some few instances. You see, this government, when they came on board, they set up what is called the emergency services, where patients who come in with accident, patients from accident or any emergency-related cases, to any of the teaching hospitals or any government-owned facility, you don't need to pay anything. The government pays for the next 24 hours. Even when you need drugs, you need surgery, you need investigation like X-ray, whatever it is, government pays. At least where I am, I work in Jos University Teaching Hospital, and I can tell you for sure that those services are still up. Though I would say that there are still room for improvement in terms of those services. I also understand that when it all started, people abuse those privileges, but government have found a better way of managing that. To me, I think this is a very welcome development. The government have also done something for people with chronic kidney disease, where when you need dialysis, I think for the next, I can't remember the number of the first dialysis episodes that you need, that you need, and government pays for it completely. So these are things that I think we must actually thank the government for that. The government have also given an express approval for most of our seniors to actually recruit. Recruitment usually goes through civil service, all the bureaucracy and all of that. Now, as I speak to you, waiver is just obtained directly from the Federal Minister of Health, and that is also a good plus. But you see, as much as I say this, you will also agree with me that there is more to be done in terms of the health sector. The infrastructure, it's something that the government must look into it. Nicola, how can you explain that, for instance, somebody from somebody who has prostate cancer in, let's say, as far place as Maiduguri, and needs something that we call a PET scan, all right? It's part of the diagnostic investigation for somebody with cancer, not just prostate cancer, breast cancer, and all of that. And somebody will have to travel all the way from Maiduguri to Lagos just to get that test. Can you believe that?
Oh dear. Just when Dr. Kevin was highlighting those issues that will bring to light what the real challenges are in the health sector. But there's also more, Jeffrey, to ask, from Dr. Kevin, and indeed if we can get an aerial view of what interactions are like between the leadership of the Association of Resident Doctors and the relevant ministries here concerned, and that would be the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Finance, particularly the National Salaries and Wages Commission. If certain allowances have been approved and there are delays in the disbursement of these backlog of allowances, I'm sure that there should be a conversation between the leadership and the Association of Resident Doctors, such that we know what the issues are. Dr. Kevin, we gather that you are back now. Before you respond to what the nature of conversations are between your leadership and the relevant ministries, it's important for you to land on your thought there, where you were highlighting what the challenges are as against the gains, from the policy reforms.
Yeah. So, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh yeah, so I'm happy that you're trying to highlight some of those points. All we are asking is that if we say you're doing your own part, you've started doing well, you must actually improve on it. All we are interested in this country is to have the best health system for us, for all of us. Look, if all of us can be victims of circumstance, ranging from the Mr. President down to the least of the Nigerians, well, some people will argue that the political class can actually fly out of this country at any time. But of course, it's when you talk about the average person like myself, where will I even get money to charter a vehicle from, just for instance, to even go to Abuja? I don't even have that. I don't have that capacity. So the government must do everything it takes to ensure that people get the basic health needs. Those basic things are really, really required. We cannot continue to be coming back to government over and over and talk about it. And let me tell you something. If the reason, one of the main push factors why people actually leave this country, it's something that we'll be talking about, remuneration. As much as we don't want to be talking about remuneration all the time, but it's something that the government have to look into it. Up to like over a year ago, government decided that since 2014, the remuneration of the health workers have never been reviewed. And they set up what is called a collective bargaining committee. Okay, so that all the health workers can sit alongside with the relevant ministries to look into this issue and say, okay, look, we have to go this way. As I talk to you now, I don't know where we are. The entire process has been stopped for whatsoever reasons. And politics election is already coming. These issues are not resolved now. Then when? How can we say that for the past
Yeah, my apologies. We have less than 2 minutes.
So let me squeeze this in. And the question will be, there are 12 demands here from the resolution from Gombe. We have August the 10th, just maybe 7 days away. What will stop that total shutdown from happening? If my question will be, out of these 12, how many has to be fulfilled for this not to happen?
Well, you see, the NEC, in its wisdom, mandated this National Officers Council. And I'll say this, and I have to make it clear, it's not our own decision at the National Officers Council to embark on this strike, but it's a decision of the NEC. And when NEC review these issues all, they say these issues have to be addressed wholly. That we have postponed strikes in the last 9 months or thereabout, or 10. We have postponed more than 4 strikes. And they are tired of this NOC led by President Mohamed Usman, of giving them several reasons or excuses why the strike should not hold. So, if you were in Gombe, some of your colleagues, they would tell you it was a tough discussion, and the president and his entire NOC were in the tight position to actually say, okay, look, let's postpone this strike. So it's the entire decision of the NEC, and NEC have agreed that everything has to be addressed this time around. And this strike, we don't see anything stopping us from embarking on this strike. I mean, absolutely nothing. From Monday 8 a.m. we're going to down to if nothing is done to address all of these issues. And I must say that our parent ministers, the coordinating minister, Professor Pate, and Salako, the state minister, Minister of Labour, and even the Minister of Finance, have quite been helpful, in addressing some of these, some of the issues I've mentioned, like the timely payment of MRTF, the 2026, and some other previous allowances. And I think that with collective will and with these people on board, we should be able to address all of these issues within a good time frame to avoid this strike. So we're calling media, the relevant stakeholders to reach out to the government and ensure that we all address this issue to prevent this strike from happening. But if nothing is done, we have definitely no choice than to embark on this strike. That I guarantee you.
And those welfare issues, must continually be highlighted. And one of the bodies that you have mentioned here would be the Salaries and Income Wages Commission. I believe that, their representative may be listening in on this conversation by proxy. So we hope that these issues will be addressed, because a record 4,000 doctors, You have just 30 seconds for that,
Yes, please. I just want to make a correction there. So currently, when I'm talking to you about the salary and wages income, at the moment, all the issues that are currently on the table has nothing to do with them. It has moved from their own office to the subsequent office. Just to put that in perspective, please.
All right, but because I was going to say that a record 4,000 doctors have left Nigeria in 2025 alone, and so everything that must be done to retain those at home and ensure that there is a healthy morale and an ideal atmosphere for them to work must be done by the relevant government agencies and ministries. Mr. Kwashak, Dr. Kwashak Kelvin, is the second vice president of the National Association of Resident Doctors. Dr. Kwashak, thank you for coming on the program.